Welcome to the Mountains Are Everywhere podcast. My name's Ryan, and I want to talk about the outdoors, mental health, and everything that connects the two. So lace up those boots, cinch down those packs, and let's head for the mountains. Welcome back, everybody. We're here for another one, episode 3 already, just rolling through these things. I'm thankful to have another guest today. This one's going to be in-house, and it's going to be Vince Meza, the creator and operator of Meza Outdoors. That's it's a family group of hunters here on the Central Coast. It's a father, son, and cousin that I met a few years ago at the bow range, and they were kind enough to give me a few pointers to get going and start hunting and learning the outdoors here in the Central Coast, and it's really just blossomed from there into a friendship, and we've spent some good times together, and I'm happy to have him in to talk to, so let's get going. It is an investment, though, but for me, it's like when I feel like I have something important to say and it can reach people, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
So I had no second thoughts about anything I put into it to this point. But no, welcome in, Vince. What's going on, buddy?
Another day.
Another day. Thanks for coming in.
I'm excited to do this. I was pretty stoked when you first brought the idea up. You're like, man, this is kind of what I'm thinking about doing. I was like, what are you going to call it? He's like, Mountains Are Everywhere. And we started talking about it a little bit more. I was like, dude, that makes perfect sense to do something like that with, mental health and the outdoors. And it's cool. I'm excited for you to start this journey,
Yeah, I'm excited too. And one of the reasons you're my second guest, and I've been wanting to bring on the people that were just very supportive from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's people that were behind the message. And one thing that I credit you with is when we were first talking about it, I was all like, in my mind, I'm like, I want it to be perfect before I ever, come out with anything. I want to have just a good product. And you told me, like, you just got to get started. You just got to just put some content out there and get going. So that's kind of the approach I took. Granted, I did a little bit of build up with my setup here, but I took that to heart, and it's already rolling, dude.
Yeah, I know. I see all the comments you're getting, the amount of likes you're getting already.
Yeah.
So
it's really cool.
I mean, yeah, that was how I was when I first started my YouTube channel. I was like, I don't want to do this. No one's gonna watch it, And then finally one day I was just like, you know what? I don't even care if anybody watches it.
You do it for you, especially with the videos and stuff. Mm-hmm. And I've talked to Hunter about it too. It's like whether anything happens with it or goes anywhere, you look back on it in a few years, like let the kids watch it, and
exactly.
You just relive those memories again.
Mm-hmm. And that's how I was looking at it. It was like a vault for all my memories. Mm-hmm. My old man ain't getting any younger either, so it's something I can look back on, and it, anything on the interweb or on that space is going to live longer than we are.
Yeah. So
my kids will be able to see it. Their kids will be able to see it in the generations to come, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah. I like that approach. I think it's genuine. Why don't you go ahead and just give us a brief intro to you and who you are and how we met maybe, and just the kind of things you're into.
Yeah. So Vince Meza, local guy, met Ryan here in California at the archery range. That was the first time we met. Yes. You and Hunter were out there shooting.
Like 3 years ago now?
Yeah. Was that your first year here or your second year?
I'm pretty sure it was my first.
Yeah. And we were talking, I think you were like talking about pig hunting. Like, hey, I hear there's some pigs out here.
That's exactly what it was.
Where should we start? And you can see those mountains from where we're at, And I was like, just go out that way.
Go out that way.
And you'll find them. They're there. So, and I think you shot your pig probably pretty close to like right after that.
We
were just talking about that actually.
I think I shot my first pig my second time ever going out there to hunt him.
Mm-hmm. And then I think Hunter shot one.
He shot one like the 2 days before.
Yeah.
Because he was the one, he went out there first and just immediately called me his first time out there and was like, hey, I'm already in the pigs. Mm-hmm. I shot at one with my bow. I'm going to go back out there with my rifle. And I just kind of followed suit. It was like the day after he shot his, I went and glassed from the same spot and had no luck. But then I was like, I'll go make my own luck somewhere else tomorrow, and friggin' nailed it.
Yeah, after that day that we met you, my dad and I, you're like, oh, I just watched all your videos last night.
I did.
You and Hunter were like, yeah, we did a little drinking and watched the videos.
Watched every single one of them.
Yeah. So that was cool. And it is cool to see, a lot of the local guys watching, our YouTube channel, Meza Outdoors. And, learning something from it. You know, we try not to blast our spots on there.
Right.
But, I mean, where we hunt, I mean, it's pretty obvious where a lot of the stuff is, you know.
Keep it pretty close to cup, though.
Yeah, I try to, because, you know, they start seeing the truck around
something,
in the area.
Yeah, and then something
like,
they recognize in the video, like, that's where it is. And next thing you know, you go out there to hunt, and, well, your spot's gone.
Mm-hmm. Well, that happened to me this 2024 at the end of during the rut. I was hitting this road hard, you know, going out there, and I ran into another guy that I talked to quite a bit. And he was like, yeah, heard you were living out here. I was like, no wonder why there's so many cars out here.
I know it's not, I guess, technically public land, but it kind of is.
It's pretty much, I consider it public land.
It's just one of the things you run into, and it is what it is. It doesn't hurt me too bad. I try to look at it from a more positive side, like, hey, at least people out here they're hunting and they're involved, and
it's an opportunity. That's how I look at it. Yep. You know, I mean, yeah, you want less people hunting the same spots you are, but you know, that's public land, and
and if people aren't hunting, then hunting dies, and
then what do we do? You know,
I don't want to think about what we have to do.
Start fishing.
Hey, Charlie, can you lay down, please? I can hear you breathing on the microphone. Go lay down. All right. Yeah, so big into the outdoors. Hunting mostly. Do you fish much, or?
I fish a little bit. I mean, if you told me, hey, you either have a once-in-a-lifetime hunt or a once-in-a-lifetime fishing trip, I'm choosing the hunt.
I'm going hunting
100% of the time. But I do like fishing as far as, you know, it's just another outlet, another way to, I'd say it's less of a stress than hunting, you know?
Hunting can be stressful.
You know? It's like, okay, I'm just going out there, I'm casting out a line, and I'm either just sitting on a bank chilling or I'm on the boat and, you know, just casting, trying to catch something. But it's more of I do a lot of thinking, I would say, when I'm out in the outdoors, you know, as far as, because it's so quiet and your mind just constantly wandering. You're sitting behind glass or, you know, on a bank or on a boat fishing, and I mean, you can get pretty deep into the thoughts, you know.
When I'm experiencing any kind of stress, I want to get out there, because there's two things that happen for me when I'm out there. I'm either going to be in complete solitude and have no option other than to think about what I got going on.
100%.
Figure out a problem, or figure out a solution rather, and then attack it. Or the hunting's going to be so amazing, I'm going to realize that whatever that stressor was is not that important anyways.
And that's how I look at it too. It's just a disconnect, you know. There's always so much going on in our day-to-day lives, whether it be, you know, work, personal, or, you know, even stuff you're dealing with, you know, family and, you know, friends that have stuff dealing with, you know, they're dealing with, and you're there to support them and, you know, try and lift that weight off their shoulders. So you're constantly thinking, but it is a good way to disconnect, get away from, I don't want to say, you know, reality, but as far as, you know, being able to have an outlet and somewhere where you can just not think about what's going on. And I think that's why I like archery so much, is because when you're shooting your bow, you can't think about it.
It requires so much focus. You can't let anything else. If you want to be good at it, you cannot let anything else in.
And that's why I like it, because, you know, it's like you make a bad shot, you can't get mad at yourself and be like, damn it, like I should have shot that better. You know, it's like you got to regroup and really hone in and focus on what you're doing.
The madder you get at it, the worse you start shooting.
That's like, you know, that's like anything in life. You know, I played a lot of baseball growing up, and, you know, it's like, if you're hitting, you know, getting 3 hits out of 10 at bats, you're good, right? So you're failing 70% of the time. So if you look at life like that, like, oh, I failed, I might as well just give up. You're never going anywhere. You're going to be in a world of hurt in life, you know.
Yeah, going back to I think you're talking about fishing. This is derailing a little bit, but I used to fish between hunting seasons, so I don't fish as much now because we have pig hunting anytime I want to go. So my fishing has slacked off a little bit.
Oh, you killed it this year with the striper.
We did. We got into the striper pretty heavy. That was so much fun. Yeah. It was. I mean, it's a fortunate circumstance because of, you know, the dynamic of that beach and only certain people being able to fish it. But I took advantage of it. But that is the strongest fish I've ever caught. It is just wild. It's like hooking into the back of a truck. And they just go.
Well, it's your fault. I saw you catching all those fish. I was like, dang, I need a surf setup now. I went and bought a surf setup.
What'd you get?
What was it? The Kuma?
Hawaiian Custom.
Hawaiian Custom, yeah, there you go.
I have 2 of them now.
Really?
Yeah.
So I went and bought one, and I didn't have any luck, but we were fishing a different spot than you. But I was still getting after it, trying to catch them. But I was seeing the ones you were catching. I'm like, dude, I would be so sick to hook
I
into one of those.
I honestly started. I felt a little bit guilty, so I hit the public beach that the public can come on and fish.
Mm-hmm.
I mean I got into the perch decent. I caught one short halibut. Never got into the striper though.
Yeah, I saw some. Well, there's some other guys that we saw that were fishing that spot too, and there was like a online tournament going on at the same time, so they were hitting it pretty hard. For like I think it was like 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were walking out, and one of the dudes had a halibut in his backpack.
Yeah.
And the tail on that thing was literally slopped over his shoulder. I'm like, dang, that
Do
is
you,
a big fish.
Do you watch Hook to Cook?
Yeah. So
I've seen him catch some pretty nice ones up there.
Him and another one of their buddies.
Oh, that's who it was?
Yeah, it was one of their buddies was out there fishing, and they killed it. I think he said he caught like 100 and something perch that day.
Good Lord.
Yeah. But he was out there all day long. But that's still a lot of
That
fish.
is. I've thought about doing one of those online tournaments, but I don't know if I'd be able to fish Wall Beach. I feel like it'd be a little bit of a cheat because I can go down to Wall Beach at daylight on a good tide, and in 2 hours catch 40 probably.
Yeah.
Like it actually got annoying when I was specifically targeting striper, and I couldn't keep the perch off the freaking crankbait.
Were you throwing those big old battle stars?
I did. I mean, it's the same type. I was using not the Kalisas. There's Kalisa, Battlestar, Lucky Craft.
Oh,
I was throwing the Lucky Craft.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I was throwing all of those. I threw a Lucky Craft. I was throwing the Battlestar.
You catch some big perch on those Lucky Crafts.
I never caught anything that was like, dang, that's a big perch.
Really?
And surprisingly, I was catching perch the size of that lure.
I think I caught one like maybe 12 or 13 incher up.
Yeah, that's a good perch though.
But down on Wall Beach, I've caught them 15 inches. Absolutely.
What do they call those?
Slobs.
Yeah.
Slabs,
whatever you want to call
them. What about outside of or besides hunting and fishing? Is there anything else you do in the outdoors?
I mean, for work, I'm pretty much outdoors all day long.
That's probably pretty nice.
Yeah, it is nice because I always told myself like I can't have an office job. Like I go into my office for an hour and I'm like I gotta leave.
It sucks.
Like I have to be outside, just the air, the freedom. You don't feel like you're contained and trapped in an office or.
There's actually a book, right there called The Nature Fix.
Mm-hmm.
It talks all about the dynamics of even just if you have an office that's next to a window where you can see outside, much less actually getting to work outside. It's a pretty interesting read.
Yeah.
And it talks all about that.
But I work in ag, so I'm constantly out, I do a lot of vineyard stuff and then do a little bit of row crops, some strawberries. But, the vineyard part, I see a lot of wildlife. So that's always cool, and then, if you're out late, and sometimes I've even gone to a spot and sat out there late and just been like,
that was me.
Oh, good. I've was sitting there and, sun's coming down. I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and glass from the truck and see if I can see anything. And I've seen some of the biggest deer in California on some of the vineyards that I work with, but they just don't let you hunt it.
Do you ever do anything for Presqu'île outside of Orchid?
I don't, but my company does. So one of our other guys, he works with them.
I went up there right after Christmas. That was my gift to my wife was did like a horseback riding, wine tasting, food tour type thing.
I didn't even know they did that.
It's the way I found it was because I guess it's not super common, but I was on a kick of wanting to go horseback riding, and my wife likes the wine scene. I'd never been to a wine tasting, but I was like, that's got to be a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I just Googled California, or I Googled horseback wine tours, and I found Presqu'île. It's like 12 miles up the road. And,
did you drive by that pond right there that they have?
Yes.
There's some big bass in there.
Really?
I don't know if I should say this. I don't know if this is going to leak out or not. But I had a buddy he worked for them, and they let him fish it. And one day he was like, hey, you want to come with me and catch some fish? I was like, yeah, whatever, fish a pond, whatever. Dude, we were catching 5-6 pounders.
No kidding.
Yeah, they were all big fish.
Nice.
But it was all catch and release, and,
sure.
and it was, we had to use barbless hooks.
Yeah.
So.
There were some, I forget what kind of duck, there were some nice ducks on it. I can't remember what kind they were, but I noticed the ducks when we actually rode right by the pond on the horseback ride.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really cool experience, though.
And don't they have like avocados too? Did you see?
They're
some
just yeah. She pointed it out on the ride that they have a spot they're specifically doing avocados,
Mm-hmm.
and I was initially like, oh, are they gonna get into like avocado oil? And she was like, I think they're just gonna sell the avocados.
Yeah, it's a lot of fresh. They go to a fresh market with that stuff.
I'm not big on avocados though.
No, I love avocados. Little guacamole.
That's all right.
Little guacamole on the taco. It's always good. Little guacamole and chips. Can never go wrong.
Sure. So we'll keep it rolling here a little bit. How did you end up getting into the outdoors? What got you into them, and what really connected with you there to keep bringing you back and make it your life?
So I started hunting I'd say, I don't know, I was 4 or 5. I don't know if you'd call it hunting. I was thrown into the truck. I don't think I really had a choice, you know?
I think a lot of us got to start that way.
And I still remember the first 22 I ever got was one of those chipmunks. I don't know if you've ever seen
Mine was a
those.
cricket.
Yeah, super similar. I mean, I was so small I couldn't even pull the hammer back on that thing. My dad would, it was a single shot. And it's crazy because I still remember a lot of like the first rabbit I shot with it, the first coyote I shot with it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've ever shot with it was coyotes, squirrels, some rabbits.
I used mine on a trap line. I trapped quite a bit in my teenage years, and that's where I got the most use out of it.
Yeah, but my dad, he's he's the reason I hunt a lot. I mean, I probably hunt more than the average person, and
yeah,
I don't know. I probably spend I'm gonna say close to 200 days out.
Yeah, I was thinking about that in my last conversation, and I just spitballed probably like 100 days a year for me.
Yeah,
but
we're scouting pretty much.
Yeah,
I mean, we run trail cameras 365 days out of the
right.
year, you know. So we're always out there, and whether it be going and shoot coyotes, pigs, scouting, looking for new spots, we're always out there. But back to how I started, it was my dad was really the one who got me into it. He didn't really have anybody that got him into it, I guess you could say. But where he grew up in a real small town, there were some like local legends.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little, they had their own deer hunting society club, and during deer season, they'd shoot their deer, and then they had like a hanging rack where they'd weigh them. They didn't really, I guess back in the day, it sounded like they cared more about the weight of the deer more than how many points it had on its horns. Yeah. So he would tell me stories about these local legends of theirs coming in, bringing in the deer, and he finally got to the age where they almost said, "Hey, you're coming with us. We're throwing you in the truck." Basically, a pack mule is what he was,
Yeah.
And he'd go, and I've heard some crazy stories. And then I don't know if you've ever been to the hitching post in Casmalia.
Oh yeah.
So
nice spot.
Yeah, some of the bucks that they have in there were actually shot like local bucks, and some of those local legends guys shot those ones. And then you can see some old pictures from like I want to say like the early 50s to like the 60s of some of the deer that they were shooting, and it's just like, dang, there were some toads back. Like you don't see deer like that anymore. I mean, you do, but I guess you could say not as frequent.
Well, there's more hunters now, so there's less of a chance for them to get to that class, I feel like.
Yeah, they always say that. I always hear people go back and forth about how many hunters there are. They say there's less hunters, there's more hunters, but I think there's definitely a lot more guys getting into hunting or just the outdoors in general.
COVID was an explosion.
Yeah,
because
so many people had time off.
Yep, time off and got stir crazy sitting in the house. Mm-hmm. I've heard it mentioned that like you talk to somebody that owns an archery shop.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you that their bow sales went through the roof.
Yeah, a lot of people got into archery. And I think a lot of it too was like Cameron Hanes, Joe Rogan, like those type of guys.
I'd say Joe Rogan was a huge factor. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember the last episode I've listened to of his where he hasn't mentioned
shooting
hunting.
His bow.
Yeah, or shooting his bow or something. I think it's incredible too.
Yeah, I always say, guys our age are either getting into golf or they're getting into archery.
Yeah. Both,
I think, have an entrance point of expense that is very similar. I think golf might be a little bit more expensive just because you got to pay to go play.
I had the same conversation with a buddy 2 nights ago, and the thing for golf with me is like, yes, with archery, the entry is expensive, but once you're set up,
you're golden.
But golf is like, because I'm a super competitive person. If I pick up a hobby, I want to get very good at it. and I just can't justify having to keep paying for golf to get good at it.
Yeah.
It is definitely more expensive to sustain.
But archery can't, like, arrows are expensive. I mean, you think about it.
Oh, I know.
Any animal you're sending an arrow at, you're looking at, what, $20 an arrow? If you have lighted nocks, that's probably another $10-15.
I broke 2 arrows at the range last night, so I feel that.
And then you got your broadhead, like whatever broadheads you're running.
Yeah.
You're sending $50 downrange at an animal.
I would definitely rather do archery than golf.
I would definitely do archery. I'm atrocious at golf, so that's partially probably why I like it.
Me too.
But I'm decent at archery too, so.
Yeah.
But I'm better at archery than I am at golf. So
I have to
I'll
hit
stick
a
to
certain
archery.
level of inebriation in golf before I stop raging. So.
Mm-hmm.
So there's another expense with golf. 6 beers.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You can't drink and shoot a bow.
No.
But yeah, hunting's been good. Archery's been good. Fishing's been good, especially where we're located.
It is really good.
There's a lot of opportunity.
It's been so surprising to me. So growing up in West Virginia for a long time, I never had any intentions to leave, and like the hunting and fishing there was pinnacle in my opinion. And trout fishing and whitetail hunting and whatever I was getting into, trapping. I was into trapping pretty big, and I don't know. I just never thought of going anywhere else, or even thought of California as a place. Like you think of California, like you
slept on.
Yeah.
Let's keep it that way.
I feel like anywhere out of California, there's a stereotype, and it's just not something I expected. And I get out here, and I'm having some of the most fun of my life getting after these. Are they blacktail? I thought they were like specifically California mule deer, like it's a subspecies that is like a blacktail cross with a mule deer type.
I guess it depends who you talk to.
Yeah.
I've always heard, west of the I-5, it's a blacktail.
Mm-hmm.
East of that, it's a California mule deer. But if you look on, like, the Department of Fish and Game, they consider our deer California mule deer.
That's what I thought. That's where I got my information from.
But from what I heard, when they first started allowing hunting out here, where we're at, they released, like, a few deer from the kaibab out here. So, the kaibab in Arizona.
You'll have to educate me.
So the kaibab is probably one of the most prestigious, I'd say, hunting tags you could have for deer. I mean, they're 200.
Oh, is that a unit?
It's part of a unit. I mean, yeah, they consider it a unit. I believe it's like 12A something, but it's near the Grand Canyon.
Okay.
And guys shoot some monster bucks there.
Okay.
And that's what I've heard and they were even talking about releasing elk out here too.
Really?
Back in the day, way back in the day. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. But that's why they say our deer here are more of a hybrid, just because they have that mule deer gene running through them. Yeah. But I mean, you look at the deer we shoot, and the best way to really tell if it is whether a California mule deer or a blacktail is from their tail. Yeah. And a lot of our deer, from the top of that tail all the way to the bottom's black.
Black, yeah.
But we've shot some deer that are, it's right on the borderline where it's like, okay, this could possibly be a mule deer, but I'm still going blacktail just because of, the horns, the body size. Yeah. But
well, regardless of what they're called, what I was getting at is after the deer and the pigs, this is some of the most fun hunting I've ever done. Yeah. Definitely not what I expected California to be like.
Spot and stock, it's
yeah. I did it a little bit in North Dakota because that's a common method depending on what part of North Dakota you're hunting in. But I really have gotten into it out here, and it's hard.
It's hard, but I mean, you've been successful
so far. I'm still chasing them with my bow. It's weird. My very first year doing it, I got into bow range twice, missed both times because whatever. Haven't been able to do it since then.
It is tough though.
Just the terrain is like it's thick, it's loud.
It's like walking on corn chips.
It is. And then obviously, I guess as with anything, the animals that you're pursuing, like that's their life. Like they spend their lives in survival mode. They are so keen into with their senses, and they survive coyotes and mountain lions and hunters all the time. So it's just another aspect that just makes it extremely hard.
Well, that's why they got to be so weary, because like you're saying, they're getting hunted 365 days out of the year. And where we're at, there's a lot of mountain lions. So you figure a mountain lion, they say, will kill a deer a week. So, that's 52 deer a year.
Yeah.
And then in certain parts of California, they have black bears. Luckily, we don't have any black bears around here. Well, I've heard that there's some black bear out here, like in this area, but I've never seen
some
one.
people at my work that swear, I haven't seen the picture yet.
Yeah.
I got to track down the guy that has it, but he says he has a picture of a black bear.
On Trocam?
No, with his phone.
Oh, jeez.
I need to see it because I was like, I kind of know the guy, and I'm like, he doesn't know what he's looking at. It's definitely just a big old boar.
Big old
gotta
pig.
Be. But they say that it is standing up on its back leg with its front paws on a fence. So I need to track down the guy and look at the picture.
That's funny you say that because one time my dad and I were hunting and we came around this corner and I just see a big old black head in the brush.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I said was bear.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up being a pig.
Some of these pigs are ginormous, man.
I was just showing you those videos of the ones we've been seeing, and there's 200-pounder plus boar. You're like,
mm-hmm.
Then you got to get into the thick brush with them.
Yeah, the first one I shot, I never shot one, and I'm shooting a 7mm. I'm like, this thing's gonna drop.
They're tough. Well,
I shoot, and he disappears in the brush, and it's right at the edge of dark, and I'm like, I have to go in there and find this thing now, and I don't know if it's dead or not.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to the edge of where I shot him. I found blood, and I just chickened out. I'm like, I'm gonna go sit in my truck and call somebody. I'm gonna give him a little bit of time. And it turns out he was like 10 yards from where in the brush just piled up. But even then, the ones that we got into last week, we shot them. They go into the brush, and there's so many other pigs around. That's not a situation I want to be in, tangling with one of those things, because you get in there with a boar with those freaking razor sharp tusks, your chances are slim.
I've been charged by a couple pigs in my day. And it definitely gets the heart going,
Yeah.
That's funny.
So we talked about kind of things you're into, and we talked in the beginning like how they help you decompress and what they really mean to you. So what I want to ask you now is, what is your best memory in the outdoors? What's your favorite story? Do you have a single favorite? If you have more, let's just dive into them. I want to hear your best memories.
Yeah, so like I was saying, my dad's the one who got me into hunting, and one story there's tons of memories we've made out, out in the field, and I always pretty much hunt with my dad. I'd say 95 to 90% of the time,
mm-hmm.
and my cousin as well. But one of the most memorable hunts that I'll probably never forget. Like I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm not going to get emotional, but I'm thinking.
Go ahead. This is raw, man.
I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, damn, like, it was like a dream of his and a dream of mine. So I'll get into it. So I went to school, and being in college, you don't get a whole lot of time to get away, especially
True.
when you're hunting and trying to make things happen. And I had no money, so
that makes it tough.
So I'm not gonna have my dad pay for me to go out on a hunt. But once I graduated, we were like, all right, let's start doing some out of state stuff,
Mm-hmm.
And the first spot we ever went to was New Mexico, because it's 100% lottery. So we're like, all right, we don't have any points,
mm-hmm.
really, so this is probably our best chance. And then looking at go hunt and all that stuff, we're looking at draw odds. We're like, okay, let's go to this spot. And it was during COVID, and it was a 5-day hunt. And the first day, opening day, we got there 3 days before the season opened, did some scouting, didn't see any deer for 2 days. The day before opening day, we finally found the deer. And so we're like, all right, this is where we're going to go tomorrow. So opening day comes, didn't see any deer that morning. We're like, oh, we're going to be in some trouble here. Maybe they were just cruising on through, So like, all right, let's just keep going back there. And that day, that evening hunt, we went there. He ends up shooting his buck. 500-yard shot. That was his furthest shot. And
Jesus, that's a poke.
Yeah, it was a long ways. Nice buck. I believe he was like a 3x3. Yeah, he was a 3x3 with like double eye guards, and then he had like a little dropper coming off the back.
Oh, nice.
And he was like excited, but he wasn't like crazy excited.
Mm.
I was like, huh. I thought he'd be a little bit more pumped than this, we're finally living the dream, what we've always talked about doing.
State,
and then
DIY.
we hunted like I said, it was 5-day hunt during COVID, and I'd say like the second to last day of the hunt, they were doing like shutdowns everywhere, and where we were at, COVID was ridiculous. Like it was everywhere.
Yeah.
And so we're like, all right, we're just gonna hunt this evening hunt, and we'll head back home and try and get away from this. The COVID is bad here. And went to a spot, same spot he shot his deer. We're hiking up over, and before I even popped up over the ridge, he goes, "Just look over there. That's where we've been seeing the deer. They might be right there." And this was, walking into the spot we're gonna go to. So we're only hiking for about 30 minutes, and we get in there. As soon as I come up over that top, I see 2 bucks. I see a little spike and like a small 3x3, which is the one I ended up shooting. And it was about 400 yards away. Got ready, proned out, boom, hammer this thing. And I turn around and my dad is like happy, so excited, way more excited than he was when he shot his buck. And he shot his buck from 500 yards away, never shot a deer that far. And, it was like, it finally happened. Like the dream is, I don't want to say complete, but the dream is finally coming in full circle. And that's what he told me. It was like, this is like, it's been a dream of mine to do a hunt like this with you for so long, since you were a little kid. And he starts getting emotional and teary eyed, and we weren't even worried about the deer at the point. We were just like so excited and happy. There's so many emotions going through us that we finally did what we've always wanted to do, So that was like one of the, I'll never forget that. That was probably one of the most special moments I've had out hunting. And
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, and we were hunting, like I said, we were out there for already 3 days, and then I didn't shoot mine, so we were already out there for like 6 days before we finally filled both of our tags. And it was just, there's just so many like thinking about it right now, it gives me chills, just because that's like what we always wanted to do, was go out on an out-of-state hunt, and finally being able to do it was amazing. And I'm just so lucky that I have my dad around, to hunt with me as much as he does. And he's not no spring chicken anymore, so and that's part of like why I really like filming all the hunts, getting into the filming side of things, is because being with him is, a lot of people say your dad can't be your best friend, but
I've heard that.
I think that's wrong, or like not the right way to go about it. Because I think your dad or a parent or anybody that is close to you like that can be your best friend, but there's still that level of like respect. You know, there's
authority figures still.
Yeah, he's still my dad. He still could probably throw me around a little bit. He has. He's put me in my place a couple times, but yeah, just being able to film, it's something I'll be able to keep forever. And as corny as it may sound, I still watch some of the videos with my dad, that happened 2-3 years ago.
I don't think that's corny at all, man.
And I'll sit there and I'll watch him, and it's like, dude, we're having so much fun out there. And I don't put a whole lot of the camp stuff in, which I probably should, because a lot of it's
that's where
comedy.
A lot of the best of it happens.
Because a lot of it's comedy, But I think that's probably a goal of mine, is to put a little bit more of that into some of the videos we do, just because my dad's a pretty serious guy, but he has like this, I don't want to say dry humor, but it's like a different kind of humor. That like if you're around him and he says something, you're like, did he really just say that? Like,
I feel the same way with my dad. When we were in the Sierras this past summer on that fly fishing trip, there was a couple times where he'd let something slip, and I'm like, that really came out of this guy I've known for the last 27 years. That came out of his mouth.
But he's out with the boys now, so he's like, we're gonna have a good time. We're gonna have a riot out here,
No, it's such a cool thing, and I appreciate it. I can appreciate it so much, your perspective on why you film, because most of my stuff is it's just up in here in memory, and to be able to watch it back and relive it it's a great thing. Yeah,
like I said, I still watch a lot of the videos that I've put out to this day. Like just 2 nights ago, I was watching that G6 hunt that I just did in December, and my dad was right there with me by my side, and I guess you could say he pretty much guided me into that spot, because when you're the guy behind the gun, it's like all you're thinking about is like, okay, I gotta hone in on this deer, I gotta make my part happen, And so he was the one who was like, all right, we're going to go here and we're going to set up here. And then this is probably where you can take your shot. And that's how it went down. So that's a pretty good video to watch too. That G6 hunt that we did.
Yeah.
Did you see that one?
I did. It's a good one.
And that was the furthest I've ever shot an animal.
That was a pretty quick hunt. It like everything just came together right from the beginning, wasn't it?
Yeah. So my dad drew that tag the previous year, so we kind of had an idea where to go.
Sure.
And then he scouted it before he went out there on his hunt. And so he's like, all right, this is where we pull up to the parking spot, jump out of the truck, and he throws up his binos and he's like, this is where I've seen the deer before. Oh, there's a doe. Mm-hmm. And then he goes to grab the spotter. This thing was about 1,000 yards away. And I'm sitting there, I just kept my eyes on that deer, and all of a sudden I see that big buck come out of the brush. And so I gave him a hard time about it to this day. I'm like, dude, when are you going to spot me my deer? Like, when are you going to spot me my buck? He's like, what are you talking about? I was the one who found that deer. I was like, you found the doe. I found the buck. Yeah. And I still give him a hard time about it. He's like, you know what what did he say? He's all, you know what the common denominator is about all your hunts? I was like, what? He's all, I'm there.
I saw him at the range a little over a week ago. The first time I'd seen him since that hunt, and that was like the first thing that he mentioned. He was like, you know, all these hunts that we go on, these big bucks these boys are killing, there's a common denominator.
Yeah,
here.
That's what he's telling everybody.
Yeah, that's funny.
But I mean, he puts a lot of work in, you know.
Oh yeah, I know, I've seen it.
And then he's out here every day, so
yeah.
For his lunchtime or his PT, you know, he's getting 2 hours to go poke around, set up cameras, do all that.
I really can appreciate that first story that you shared. Mm-hmm. I feel like a fairly similar experience with my first deer ever. So I started bow hunting when I was 11, I think, is when I was finally, because I think California's the same way, but West Virginia has a minimum poundage that you have to draw on a bow before you can legally hunt. I think I was 11 when I first started, and we had a couple acres that I grew up on of woods that I would just go poke around in and set up in a tree stand and just wait on something to go by. And I did that for 2 years and never had any luck. And my experience hunting that to that point was just, you know, the land that we had. And my dad always talked about he had a hunting lease when he was in like his, I think, late 20s, early 30s, that him and the boys would go up to every year and hunt. And he always wanted me to have an experience like that of going to deer camp. And this one time it finally came together. A buddy of his knew some guys that had some land about midway up the state, and it was just gonna be an old-fashioned deer camp experience. And my mom was a trooper here. She's a diabetic. I forget, type 1, type 2, whatever insulin dependent is. And it would cause her to have these almost a mini stroke. I think TIA, I forget the term.
Yeah. It's like a mini stroke, yeah.
Well, she had one. She was in the hospital 2 days before we were supposed to leave for this hunt. And I had been just so excited thinking about it for weeks at this point. And like me being a selfish little kid, I was like, I want to go on this hunt so bad. And my mom kind of, I would say, fibbed a little bit to the doctor to get her out of the hospital. And we had some family that was so gracious to be with her while we were gone. And I remember the night, it was like 2:00 in the morning. We were heading out to be up there around 5, and she wasn't still completely all there when we left the house. Mm-hmm. But she was trying her best to be excited, and she was telling me she wanted me to kill a buck, and all she could come up with was like, she was like, just kill one up here. She did with her hands, trying to signify a buck. And oh, that's kind of hard to remember. I hadn't thought about that for a while. But anyways, we ended up making this hunt work. We get up there, and it's me and my dad, my brother, and one of my dad's great friends. And we're hiking in. It came a snowstorm like as we're hiking in that morning in the dark. And again, I had never harvested deer up to this point, and we're sitting there. My brother got sick. He was behind the tree throwing up, and like, again, me being selfish, I was like, you're freaking ruining my hunt. And we still stuck it out. My dad was I know he was just enjoying, you know, the time out there with me and my brother. And I catch a deer coming a couple hundred yards around the bend of this mountain, and immediately, as soon as I saw it, I was just like, okay, I'm gonna shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was watching. It went behind a tree, and I was like, okay, now I'm gonna wait on this deer to pass this tree. And I dropped my gun down, and then I waited probably about a minute. I put my gun back up, and then I forgot where the deer was. I couldn't find this deer anymore.
Too many trees and then woods.
And I just, yeah, it was pretty thick up there. Rifle hunting in the woods is like that. It's kind of tough.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost this deer, and I'm like, I was on a high and immediately going out into a low because I can't find it. A couple minutes pass, and all of a sudden, my dad was just like, Brian, turn around. And then I turn around, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I see my dad, he's like looking down a scope, and he was like, look up the hill. And I don't know what he's looking at. Obviously, he's looking at his rifle, he's looking at the deer.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to find this deer. And all of a sudden, my dad shoots. And a little while later, he tells me, he's like, this deer was like getting ready to bolt.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually turned out to be the biggest buck he'd ever shot. But right after he shot, he was like, up the hill. And I started looking, and we had a buck tag and a doe tag. And just up the hill, like 70 yards, there's a doe standing there. And it's like 10 seconds after my dad shoots his buck, I throw my rifle up, and I just get her in the scope and pull the trigger, and she folds.
Mm-hmm.
And I just went into a fit of emotion. Like, I was fist pumping and yelling, and I started crying, and it was just amazing. And then we get up there and recover both the deer, and I can just remember my dad just kind of sitting back and smiling, just watching how I was reacting. I didn't care that he shot this huge, that I didn't get the chance to shoot this huge buck. I just shot this deer, and it was so close to my dad shooting his big buck, and just amazing experience. And then just thinking about the sacrifice that my mom made to let us go up there, and that my dad made to leave my mom in somebody else's care at the time. And emotional experience, amazing experience. Never forget that. I got a doe mounted because we got him mounted together.
Oh, that's
so back
cool.
home in my dad's house, he has his buck, and then because what it was is this doe was in heat and this buck was after her, so,
chasing her.
So we got his buck mounted, and then my doe just like right underneath it.
Oh, that's cool.
It's
crazy, like the sacrifices your parents will make for you just to see you happy. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's something that as you're younger, you I don't want to say take for granted, but you don't appreciate it. You don't understand the weight of it. Think about it until you're older.
Yeah, now me with kids too, it makes sense now. I get it, and it makes me sad sometimes what I did take for granted.
Yeah, and that's literally what I was just about to say. Is like I should have appreciated some things a little bit more when I was younger, and now that you're older, the smaller things mean so much more to you than they did when you were young. Like growing up, my dad raised me, and you don't realize a lot of the sacrifices that like your parent or your parents made until you get older. And it's like, dude, I didn't know we were poor.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Like I lived down south in like Orange County for about 10 years, and like I said earlier, as I played a lot of travel baseball, and we'd stay at the Motel 6, but everybody else was staying at the Hilton, or the nicer hotels, going, having the pool, and right after a game, everybody's going out to eat at nice restaurants, but we're going to McDonald's, and it's like, dang, like I'm so grateful and thankful that I was even able to do a lot of those things, even though we weren't as well off as the people we were around,
Right.
And that's what's crazy is like the sacrifices your parents will make for you, and I just sometimes I wish I would have taken it, appreciated it more when I was younger than
I just wish I
now.
couldn't have understood it at that level when I was young.
And like now it's like how do I repay my parent or my parents for doing all the stuff they did for me, to get to where I am today. And I'm super thankful for my parents for, basically molding me into who I am today too. And that's something a lot of people don't think about until they're like older or, way later on in life when their parents are gone or, no longer around. And it's like, you don't think about how they're preparing you. It's almost like they're preparing you for when they're not around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as deep and dark as that may sound, but it's like the truth. And
it is.
And it's like, dang, like, what do I do when my parents are gone? You know, it's
Mm-hmm.
like they're people I go to all the time to talk about things that I don't really share with a whole lot of people. And like I was saying earlier, like my dad's like my best friend. He knows me more than anybody else, you know. Like I go to him a lot for advice and things that I'm going through. And I think that's, you know, why we connect so much too when we're outdoors. Is we've had some pretty deep conversations, you know, out at camp or out in the hills, just sitting there glassing. And you know, a lot, like the other day I was sitting out on the hill with my dad and cousin, and I'm just sitting there and I'm like, I don't even care if something comes out right now. Like as corny as it may sound, I look to my right, I look to my left, and I'm looking at both of them, and I'm like, dude, like,
this is why I'm out here.
This is why I'm out here. Like, it doesn't get much better than this, you know? And I guess you could say I'm just really grateful for what my parents have done for me, what, you know, the people in my life and all the people I've met, you know? And it's just crazy how short our window is on this earth.
Mm-hmm.
I may be getting too deep, but
no, that's what this is for, man.
But you know, it's something I've realized, I guess, at a younger age than most. Like I'm pretty young. I'm not gonna say my age. I like to keep that confidential. I don't want people to think, you know, I'll let them think I'm either 22 or 45. We'll keep it right there. I get anywhere in between that, so that'll work.
I could see that, yeah.
But you know, that's why I always try and be like a good person to everybody. You know, I try to be pretty straightforward, honest, you know, and all that good stuff. Because you never know, like, what somebody's going through either.
Right.
As far as, like, you know, I'm not going to talk too much about, like, haters or anything like that. Like, that's, you know, but somebody could be going through something, and that's why they're acting the way they're acting, you know.
It could be.
And that's why I'm a strong believer in the kill them with kindness.
Yeah, and the way you react to them, too, could be the difference of them being worse off or them getting that little bit of kindness in their life that they needed and wasn't getting from somewhere else.
It could be just as simple as, you know, giving them a compliment, opening the door for somebody, something just so small that could pretty much change their day, you know?
Yep. And then, in my opinion, the waste of time and effort on your part to be negative back to them.
The energy that goes into that.
Not only are you probably making things worse for them, you're just wasting the opportunity that you had to
just feeding into it.
Yep.
But like you know, being, you know, on YouTube and stuff, I get so many comments on there. You get a lot of good, you know, comments too, but then, you know, somebody will throw some negative comment in there, and I'm never the one to say something back or, you know, negative back. I should say. Good. But like I said, I was killing with kindness, and then all of a sudden they're hitting you with compliments. You're like, oh, that'll work.
What they need.
You know, and it's padding the stats on the algorithm too. So, you know, comment all the hate comments you want.
Sure.
But yeah, it's just, life is crazy, man, and you just gotta always keep going, one foot in front of the other, you know, because this is a ride.
It is a ride.
It's conquering mountains, baby. You know.
We're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up and talking about being on this ride and in the outdoors and stuff. You got any advice for people that aren't in the outdoors, that want to get started, or just advice to find an outlet to deal with stressors in life, or just have experiences like we've had and building community and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, definitely get outside. It's good for the mental, you know. It's good for the brain. It's good to be out in the outdoors, some fresh air. You get to see a lot of cool things that, you know, most people who don't like to be outside get to see, you know. And even there's a lot of people who are into like backpacking and and hiking.
I love that.
And it's like, dude, get into hunting. You know, you're already out there doing something you enjoy. That'll just throw another little wrinkle into it for you. Mm-hmm. Like one of the dudes that I met through the company I work with, he was like all into backpacking. That's all him and his dad did. And I was talking to him one time. I was like, hey, do you ever like hunt? Have you ever just thought about hunting? He's like, nah, but I see a lot of animals all the time. I've seen some big bucks. I'm like, dude, get a rifle, get a bow.
Yeah, man.
You know, it'll make it that much more fun. Now he's all into hunting. This dude's going everywhere now, but he likes the backpacking concept of it too. So, but yeah, just getting out there, you know, and enjoying it. You know, God's creation. It truly is special. A lot of memories can be made. it's definitely a good outlet, you know, like we were talking about earlier. It's a disconnect. And I mean, you can brainstorm a lot of ideas, a lot of ways to get out of things, a lot of ways to, you know, move forward in life. And that's why I always say, you know, just keep going. Like, what, you know, the phrase keep going could be used in so many different ways as far as, you know, if you're on a roll, just keep going. You know, it's a snowball effect, right? And then even if you're going through something hard, it's like, just keep going, just keep moving forward because, you know, like they always say, in time, everything kind of heals, you know, kind of goes forward. So doing that, you know, is just, you just can't halt in life. You know?
Maybe you're just one step from your way out of the forest, you know, or the way out of what you're struggling with. So just keep going, keep climbing, man.
Keep climbing because, you know, we got the highs, we got the lows, and we got the in-betweens. And, you know, that's why when you sent me that picture of your new logo, I was like, dude, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Because you got the two ridges, you know, you got the highs, you got the lows, you got the in-betweens, and that's what life's all about, you know. But for advice, I'd just say get out there. You know, there's so much to enjoy. There's so much opportunity out there too. And it's just one way to disconnect from what you got going on.
I would say too, if you're not sure how to get started or what to do, get on YouTube. There's so much you can find on there. You know, great information, great guys putting content out there.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of content, why don't you go ahead and let us know where we can, or where listeners can find you at?
Yeah, so we've got Meza Outdoors on YouTube. You can just search that. You'll find us there. And we're on TikTok too, but I think that's gone.
So I heard something about that. I think, so it's not like completely gone. It's like
can't download it.
The ability to update the app is just going to cease in the U.S. to the point where at some point it won't operate without the update. Yeah. So, I mean, I guess get into it while you can. I heard somebody say there's already a new app out there. I don't know what it's called.
I think it's called Red Note.
That's it. So maybe hop on there.
I just saw that
in the beginning or something. I don't know.
But we're on Instagram too. You can just search, you know, Meza_outdoorsman is our tag on there. But yeah, anybody who's trying to get out and, you know, learn something about hunting or archery or just getting out in the outdoors, I mean, you could message, you know, Ryan or I directly. And I have no problem pointing people in the right direction. I mean, I get DMs all the time about, hey, I'm thinking about doing this, or you know, how do I get into this, or where do you usually see animals? Or you know,
I love sharing information because I take a sense of pride in helping people be successful or just get started, you know. I love that.
Like, I'll always point somebody in the right direction. I'm not going to be
I'm not going to give you my pin. But...
I'm not going to give you my Onyx points, but, you know, if you're telling me, hey, I'm thinking about this area, I'm like, you know, that's not a bad area to start.
Yeah.
You know, you can find deer there or pigs or whatever you're going after. But, yeah, feel free to reach out to either one of us and, you know, make sure you follow.
Yeah.
Mountains are everywhere.
Hey.
You know?
We're
this train's just getting going.
Yeah, man. It's been a ride already. I love it. I've loved the feedback I've gotten, the impact I've seen it have on people already. It's awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I already see the followers climbing, the engagement already you're getting.
It's pretty cool.
This is just the start.
But thanks for the conversation, man. It was nice to sit down and talk to you. And again, I just want to say I appreciate you being a motivator for me to do this. It really helped kick it off. So that's why I wanted to have you on as one of the first guests. And again, just thanks for the conversation and thanks for the friendship over the last few years. And I'll say I appreciate you and your dad so much. And I don't have a lot more time left here, but I feel like, you know, wherever the military takes me after this, if I just feel like I have a place to come back to if I ever get the chance. And I appreciate you for just allowing me to feel that way and being close and building a good friendship.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I was stoked as soon as you were, you know, telling me like, hey, let's get this rolling. You know, and when I was like, whenever you want, we'll do it. Whenever. And even though I was gone for a little bit for work, I was like, all right, I was already excited to get back and do this. It might not be the greatest pod, but you know, it's a start. And we're going somewhere.
I feel like it's been pretty good, except for I had that one hang up there where I just blanked. But
no, it's all good. I'm excited to see where this takes you and someone like you who's so genuine and you know, true to the person you are. I really think this is going to take you far as you know, the people you're going to meet, like even me through social media and Instagram and all that stuff. I've met so many people, and I think you're going to meet a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to reach out to you just because of how genuine and true you are, like I said, and the advice you can give somebody.
I'm trying my best. I wouldn't say it's the best advice. I have trouble expressing it sometimes, but I do hope it connects with somebody, even if it's just one person.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I'm excited. Like I said, I'm excited to see where this takes you. I can't wait for you to drop that merch because I'm gonna pick up a hat.
Oh yeah,
that sweatshirt.
It's the hats are in production.
There we go.
So as soon as they get in, one of them's yours. It's already got your name on it.
Heck yeah, I'm excited for that.
Now, what's next? You can go shoot a pig tonight or what?
I was about to say maybe we should go shoot a pig.
Yeah, man.
It's still early.
Oh yeah, you got plenty of time.
Got plenty of time. I don't know what you got going this afternoon, but if you're
nothing before the fights. Big fights tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Except for, did you see?
Didn't one of the guys bounce out?
Oh my gosh, I'm not huge into UFC. I am, but I don't know all the names yet. What was it? Who was fighting Makachev?
Makachev, isn't it?
Who was fighting him? Oh my gosh.
One of the guys just pulled out.
Yeah.
I just saw that earlier today too. I was like, dude, whenever they put a good card together and they got all these guys, why does somebody always pull out?
Last minute. He hurt his back is what I heard.
Soft.
Oh my gosh, it's killing me.
I don't even know. It's a Brazilian dude.
Let's see what we got here. He's fighting Moicano now.
Yeah.
Who was it he was supposed to fight? Why is it killing me? It was like the second fight they fought before. Anyways, I'm outing myself on how much I know about UFC. I'm excited to see Merab fight though. That's my favorite fighter. He's just a freaking machine,
those
absolute motor. He never stops.
Dude, those guys wrestle bears. What do you expect?
I know, right? I thought it was really cool. He became a naturalized U.S. citizen recently. Which is pretty freaking
really?
cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to see when did he pull out?
I heard about it last night.
Yeah, that's gonna.
Yeah. And then we got BD Challenge 3 coming up in May.
Yeah.
I'm looking so forward to that.
I know we didn't even talk about that in this pod. I guess maybe in the next pod we'll talk about.
Yeah, we are getting a little long-winded here, but because we need to talk a little bit about our experience last year too. Yeah. That was a lot of freaking fun.
Yeah, I was surprised you went up there by yourself. Well, you didn't go by yourself, but you brought the wife and the babies. But
yeah,
you were like, "Hey, is it cool if I shoot with you?" I was like, "Dude, heck yeah!" Like,
I appreciate that.
We had a blast.
It was a blast.
I'm gonna adopt that leg kick out.
Hey, that pig I shot last week. You better believe I had that kickstand out, buddy.
Oh,
perfect.
Maybe that's why I missed last night. Is because I didn't have the kickstand out.
But anyways, thanks again for coming on, man, and I look forward to many more conversations and having you on in the future if you'll come talk to me again.
Heck yeah, brother. We're going to do another one.
All right, thanks, buddy.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mountains Are Everywhere podcast. If you want to stay up to date, be sure to subscribe or follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to bring you another one. Until then, you keep climbing, and I promise I'll be climbing too.